What is up, guys? It has been way too long. Athena here. Welcome back to Code 3 Life. Oh my gosh. So we are in our new apartment. Well, it's townhome. And I don't really have a... Stop it. Sorry, the cat is playing with the microphone and Stop it. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't really have a place to record right now. Stop! Oh my gosh. Come here. There we go. Okay. I was planning on recording in the kitchen, but the kitchen is currently full of boxes. But I just did not want to wait any longer because I can't even remember the last time I made a video for you guys. And I miss you. And I miss making videos. So yeah, I'm sorry for the hiatus, but we moved and it's great. And I've started training with my new team. I got to rescue some rafters who weren't wearing their life vests and got stuck on a bank somewhere. Like it's been fun. I love y'all's comments. I love that you watch the videos and comment on them. I really appreciate that. I'm noticing kind of a theme in some of the comments where people are like, don't be so critical. It's just TV. Don't you know that this is fake and scripted? And the answer to all this is, I know it's fake. I know it's scripted. And this is a show where I'm critical about that shit. So if you want to watch something where someone is not being critical about that shit, watch another fucking show. Or just download it on YouTube for $1.99 and watch it all the way through without me talking and pausing and shit. 'Cause think about it. I'm putting in energy to make something I really enjoy. You're putting in energy to watch something you don't enjoy and then bitch about it. Who's the moron? Okay, so today I am watching Chicago Med. It is very highly requested. Not really. 2 people have requested me to do this, and one of them was my sister. So, so not super highly requested, but it has been requested. And for my coming back into the world of Code 3 Life, I wanted to review Chicago Med. I've never seen an episode of Chicago Med, and I understand that it's like set in a hospital and not on an ambulance or something, so I'm not really sure how much I will have to say about it, but I'm 100% positive that it will be full of medical bullshit, which is why I'm here. So, I'm gonna start it, and we're gonna see how it goes. It's gonna be fun. He's attractive, so he's gotta be one of the doctors. Oh man, he's reading in Spanish. He must be smart. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, he's doing so good. Oh, he's touching so many bloody people without gloves. Oh no! Ooh, that's pretty bad.
He keeps biting down. I can't get the blade in. You back?
First of all, those compressions are terrible, but I understand that you can't do real compressions on a human being because you have to do compressions like 1.5 to 2 inches into the chest cavity, which is painful. And yeah, if someone has a head injury or something, they can get what's called trismus, and their jaw locks up. And you can't intubate them because you can't get the mouth open. You can pass a tube through the nose. If there's nothing else you can do, you can cut here, do an emergency surgical crike. But what also helps is putting a smaller tube in the nose and then just putting a mask on and breathing for them. That is just fine. You don't need to intubate in some cases. But let me retract that. If he's bleeding into his nose, mouth, or throat, then yeah, you definitely would really want a tube because the tube will Okay, so a tube goes into the mouth, down the throat, past the vocal cords, and ends about here, and then they inflate a balloon to kind of seal it off. So the only thing going in and out of the lungs is air that you are pushing in with the bag. So if you're bleeding, it doesn't make it into the lungs, that kind of stuff.
Trigger all hazard disaster plan. Page the phone tree. Right away.
28-year-old male, crush injuries, severed artery, massive blood loss.
Trauma 3 just opened.
Got a tourniquet on his right leg. Tried to intubate but couldn't get his jaw open. He lost his pulse on the ride.
Put him on our monitor and rapid transfusion. Grab 4 units of O-neg and start with the round of epi.
Already hit him with the epi times 2. Still no pulse. He's in fib.
Let's get him in the bay. I got it.
Okay, first of all, this mass casualty trauma thing is going really, really well. Like, it might look like chaos, but the nurse who's triaging has her shit dialed. She's amazing. I'm loving this. And this is what they do. You have to say in like 5 seconds what's wrong with them. And then the triage nurse has to decide like that, where do they go? What's the priority? Who goes into surgery first? Who's more likely to live if they get surgery? And then, so he said crush injury. So, you know, one of his legs got crushed. They've got a tourniquet on it. And then he said he lost pulses on the way over. And that's why they're doing compressions. They've given epinephrine twice, which is correct. But then he said he's in fib. If you get injured and you're losing blood and you lose pulses, what's more likely happening is that your heart is still kind of pumping. It's trying. At least there's electrical activity going on, but there's so little blood that there's not enough to make a pulse. So, and VFib, ventricle fibrillation, is when the ventricles are just kind of twitching. And that's more of like a medical cause. So if he had massive blood loss and lost his pulses, he would probably be in PEA, which is where the heart is trying to pump. And then it just isn't making a pulse. And you don't shock that. So it's okay that he hasn't shocked it, even though he just said he's in fib. I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I just got off shift this morning, and there are some pretty good medical calls. So I'm still definitely in that like analytic mode. So this one might be rambly and kind of like teachy. But I haven't really seen anything to criticize so far. I'm actually really enjoying this.
From here, man. Nope, he's mine.
Okay, who the hell is this guy?
Says he's a doc.
Get off the gurney, Doc. I'm senior resident in this ER.
Yeah, well, I'm your new trauma fellow.
Dr. Halstead.
Email. Early 20s, head trauma, GCS 3, unresponsive in the field.
Trauma 2 just opened.
Still GCS 3. We gotta change that King Airway to a formerly T2.
I'll get a line in the groin.
Hang on. Was that actually a King Airway? Let me check.
To a formerly T2.
That's actually a King Airway. I'm impressed.
Hold compressions. You are?
Sarah Reese, 4th year med student.
Can you do a course in the groin? Mm-hmm. Get a left femoral in there.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know an awful lot about like groin IVs or arterial lines. I'm actually not sure what he just asked for. But you really shouldn't stop compressions to do a surgical crike. Because what's more important is that the blood keeps on pumping. Where'd the cat go? I guess the cat left. And there's also an option that does not include a surgical crike. What you can do is you can do something called RSI, rapid sequence intubation, where you sedate the patient and then you paralyze the patient so that jaw relaxes, and then you pass the tube. And then you keep them sedated and paralyzed. So he didn't actually have to go straight to that, especially in the ER. That's something they do very frequently. Ambulances don't always have that capability. Come on, girl, show some haste. She's like shaking her head.
There, you're sterilized. Now stick it.
patient, not a pincushion.
I can't find the vein.
All right. Shock to 120. Clear.
No pulse?
Again, 200. Clear.
I have a pulse.
It doesn't happen that fast. Because when you shock the heart... So the only 2 times you shock the heart is in VTAC and VFib. That's when either the ventricles are going... The ventricles are the big part of the heart. And they're just going... Boop, 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 because of reasons. And then VFib, which is where they're going... Eh. And what it literally does is it shocks the heart so it goes... Yeah! What just happened? Okay. I think this was what I'm supposed to be doing. It doesn't happen that fast. You don't shock and then immediately get a pulse. You shock and then you do compressions for 2 minutes and then you see if you have a pulse because it takes that long. And if you do compressions on someone with a pulse, it won't necessarily like hurt them. It's still a good thing to keep those compressions going. And no one is on the chest. They haven't had anyone on the chest for like 30 seconds. They need to be doing compressions the whole time. You wouldn't just like pause your heartbeat for some reason for 30 seconds because that's essentially what they're doing.
Did you find my dad yet?
No, sweetheart, don't you worry. All right, now we're gonna put something in your arm to give you medicine. It's just gonna be a little pinch, okay? Squeeze my hand. Look at me. Squeeze my hand. We're gonna count to 3. Look at me. 1, 2, 3. All done. Good job. There you go. Let's get X-ray here.
That's so real. Oh my gosh. Kids can be like fucked up and yet you mention an IV and they go, no! Oh my gosh. I had a kid, this must have been a couple months ago. I think he was 7 and he was just, messing around with his BMX bike like you do. And he did a bunny hop, but his handlebars twisted and it landed right above his pubic bone. And he didn't have one of those like protective things on the end. So it just punched right in. Oh my God, it went so deep. It went like inches into his abdomen. And we looked and his mom lost her shit. And we were like, okay, that's a pretty solid injury. And I can't even imagine the pain he must have been in. But then we say we need to do an IV and he screams, he flails. I literally had to hold him down to get an IV in his arm. So that is really freaking real.
No gag reflex, didn't even need sedation. Not good.
I think that's the one where they mentioned let's turn the king tube into, let's switch out the king tube for an ET tube. If she's got a king tube, she doesn't have a gag reflex because a king tube goes all the way to your vocal cords, but doesn't go past. I can guarantee you that if you try and put a king tube in your mouth, you're gonna throw up.
20-year-old male, cystic fibrosis, complaining of chills, labored breathing, tense 98.
Jamie? And you?
Hey, Maggie.
Back so soon?
I missed you guys.
Respiratory rate is 26. Let's take him to treatment 6.
No, it's not. And that's weird that she shouted out the respiratory rate instead of what his lungs sounded like, because that's what she just did. Listen to lungs while he was speaking, so that would not be effective. When you listen to lungs, if they speak, it sounds like a fucking foghorn. So that...
What am I putting in this bowl? Where's my good-for-nothing resident?
Put in her 12 hours. Had to knock off.
So many rules. Ridiculous. And bad for medicine. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I can't work. They said I'm spoiled.
Do you really want to be taken care of by someone who's been awake for 24 hours? No, it's stupid. And yeah, they are tired. And maybe not a little spoiled, but they definitely have more protections. Like new medics, EMTs, doctors, nurses. Maybe there's more of a focus on their mental health and them like only working for 12 hours and then going home and getting the rest they need. But that's kind of important. So part of me is like, fucking haze him. And the other part of me is like, how about we have some compassion? And he's apparently chosen the side he's on.
Look at her. Is she gonna be okay? And the baby?
Baby checks out fine. Healthy heartbeat, amniotic sac, and placenta are intact.
Ugh, look at that tube. It's so far out of her mouth. It's like that far out of her mouth. The tube should end like here-ish. It shouldn't be like flopping around. Oh my god. Is he stitching himself? Oh my god.
I thought you could use these.
Thank you.
Hey, Herman. Hey, Herman. You boys hanging in there?
Well, you know, it's a train wreck. You?
Same. That from the crash site?
Yeah, it's your first lowdown. Cell phones, shoes, wallets, purses.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She likes the bunker pants. Let's be honest. Everybody loves bunker pants.
I'm Sarah Reese. I'm a fourth-year medical student. Dr. Manning sent me in to check on Rachel before we sign her up. This is for you.
Thanks.
She's so awkward. Oh god. That is such a wonderful just representation of a student. Oh my god, that's brilliant. Oh, it's so awkward. I mean, I've been there. Everybody has been there. That was so perfect.
What's his name?
Why don't you give him a name? I need to talk to your mom. About your husband.
What?
No, he's okay. He's still in surgery. The OR nurse says it's going well. As soon as we hear something, I'll let you know. Rachel? Rachel, can you hear me?
What is wrong? What's happening?
I can't find a pulse.
Oh my god.
She also couldn't find a vein. So, and she didn't feel that long. She felt for like 2 seconds. You're supposed to do a pulse check for up to 10 seconds. Yeah. Ugh, to work a child in front of her mother.
You're not compressing the heart, Sarah. You gotta go harder.
But she's so small, I don't want to...
Harder, do it. Let's go. Come on, Sarah, harder. Hold. There we go. Back inside is get a BP.
What happened?
She rested. We got her back.
Oh, that mask placement. Just like holding the mask over her face and then bagging over here. You need to hold the mask to the face. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Oh god.
Good job.
I just broke a little girl's ribs.
No. Kids are flexible. They've got so much cartilage and their bones are so pliable. They just bend. She's so young. They just would have bent.
There's Charles.
What does this doctor of psychiatry do? All he's been doing this whole episode is hanging out in the ER and hanging out with this patient. Is he getting paid? Like, does he have patients of his own? What is he doing? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Oliver Platt, but the I don't know. That's weird. All right. Well, I really liked, that ending was really powerful. And I really liked just the whole episode. Like, the medicine was really spot on, to be honest, for almost all of it. And I don't know, I just thought it was really good. Like, people actually died instead of everyone being saved, and hard decisions were made. Like, it was a little fantastical because not everyone makes a recovery like that, especially not that quickly. But I don't know, it's a really good reminder for me, I guess, like, why I do this and why we treat patients. And I'm just getting I'm getting really emotional about it. It's just really hitting me because about 3 weeks ago, I ran a hanging cardiac arrest. I think 30s woman had hanged herself in the garage, and we found her, and we, did CPR, and we resuscitated and all that stuff, and we had reached the end of the protocol. We'd reached the time when it would have been okay to stop compressions and pronounce her dead. And Captain was there just assisting and overseeing, and he said, well, let's do one more pulse check, rhythm check, and she had a pulse. And we transported her to the hospital, and we lost pulses again, and then we got him back, and then we lost him again. It was all over, and her neck was just really, it was broken. The rope had cut into the flesh of her neck. And at the hospital, I didn't find out what happened. And that call hit me really, really hard. And I called our PTSD trauma support team, and she said, well, I can't release you unless I get a release from your therapist, so, call your therapist. And I called her, and she said, actually, I can have you in this afternoon. So I went home early that day and went and saw my therapist and just did EMDR on it, and it was really painful. And then yesterday I ran another hanging. It was a 14-year-old boy. By the time we got to the hospital, because we had done the full protocol, and when we got to the end of the protocol, he still didn't have a pulse, but his capnography, which is an indicator of cell function and stuff, was so high that there's no way we could have pronounced him dead, so we transported him to the hospital. And by the time we got there, we'd been doing compressions on him for 43 minutes, and he had been in asystole the whole time, so no heart activity at all. And then when we got to the hospital, they worked him for 15 more minutes and then pronounced him dead. And that was really hard, but I stayed at work. And I came home this morning. And my supervisor called me, the supervisor who'd been on the first hanging with me, called me and told me that first patient left the hospital completely neurologically intact today. Which means no brain damage, no loss of function of her limbs. She left the hospital with relatively normal function. And that's why we do these things, because even when it seems completely hopeless, even when someone has hanged themselves and their neck is broken. And they have died from it. Sometimes they do come back. And that's why we do what we do, because there's always that hope that we can make a difference. And I'm just so grateful for the team that I was with and that captain and the hospital staff and the care they showed her, the care they showed me by insisting I talk to the trauma counselor. And sometimes you lose them, like the one I lost yesterday. And sometimes someone who is dead comes back almost completely normal. And I don't know if I believe in miracles, but I can't believe that she came back. Because I saw her condition. I'm sorry, this turned into something that I didn't intend for it to turn into. That episode just hit me really hard. So, sorry, I'm gonna try and get my shit together. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was Chicago Med. I really enjoyed that. That was really good. I liked just the human dramas of the decisions that are made, and the pain and loss and heartbreak was just very real. And the connection that the doctors had with their patients, and the medicine seriously was really good. Like, I mean, EMS works under protocols that are not the same as hospital protocols. So there are probably a lot of things where I'm just like, oh, that doesn't make sense, but it's totally the way they do things. Yeah, that was really good. I would really recommend that to people. Okay, the first episode. I'm probably going to end up watching the second episode at some point, just, moving through my list. And maybe it will decrease in the accuracy, because maybe they're trying to wow people with their accuracy and then they start not caring. It's possible that happens. But that was very good. I really liked that. I'd say probably 8 or 9 out of 10 would recommend. So, okay. Well, I got super emotional. But this is EMS, and emotions happen. And if you're not okay with that, maybe you should see a therapist, because if you're afraid of emotions, that's not very healthy. Yeah, so sorry that I was gone for so long. I'm gonna try to do the once a week episodes once again. We don't currently have internet, so I'm really hoping I can get it up today somehow. Maybe I'll just go to Starbucks and upload it there. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you out there.